So we're all familiar with this. Walking down the street, heads down, texting away, glancing every once in a while, making sure we don't run into anything or anyone. We now have iPhones, Motorola Droids, Samsung Galaxy S3s, HTC Ones, and other smartphones that we use to interact and to manage our lives, whether we're using the GPS for directions, applications like Yelp to figure out where we're going to hang out or where we're going to eat, or even using Facebook or Twitter to interact socially, or for some people, Instagram to take pictures. Smartphones have become sort of an extended limb where we feel that if we don't have it with us or it's turned off or we forget it, we can't live without them. And although I must admit, I think they're a great invention and they do help us a lot, I feel like they do have a dark side as well. Smartphones are reducing the quality of interpersonal communication between friends and family. And I want to take you through some scenarios that I'm sure we've all experienced. Let's say you're with your family, you all own smartphones. Father is probably caught up with sending emails, making sure his appointments are set up for work. Mother is also using it for her part-time job. She also wants to use it to keep up with her friends, who she hasn't seen in a while, her family, using Facebook, Pinterest. Both of the children, let's say we have a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old, they have smartphones now. They're probably using it to play games, or even some of them have Facebooks already. So throughout the day, smartphones get in the way of connecting between you and your family. We've also been through situations where we're meeting up with friends. We haven't seen them in a while. We're excited. We're going out to bars or we're going out to dinner, and one of you doesn't have a smartphone. All of a sudden, one phone starts ringing, someone else's phone starts ringing, they start texting each other. They're stopped communicating with each other, and you're left bored. So between smartphone users, we have a percentage of 27% of adults and 47% of teenagers. Out of those users, 37% of adults admit to being highly addicted to their phones, and 60% of teenagers claim to be highly addicted. And with socialization, over 51% of adults admit to using cell phones in social settings, whereas 65% of teenagers admit to using cell phones in social settings. And then meal times are extremely important. University of Washington State shows that kids who sit down to dinner with their families are most likely to excel in school, stay out of trouble, and communicate more openly and avoid risky behaviors. However, we find that 23% of adults are using their cell phones during mealtime, and 34% of teenagers are using their cell phones. So this really cuts into crucial time for you to be communicating with your children and getting to know each other and figuring out what's going on in each other's lives. Interestingly enough as well, 22% of adults do admit to using their cell phones in other private moments of the day, such as in the bathroom, as well as 47% of teenagers admit to that as well. So it's taking over our lives. Cell phone users appear to have become rude over time as well. We have 27% of teenagers admit to not turning off their cell phones when they should, for example, in libraries, or using them in restaurants, which can also be very annoying to your neighboring table. And only 18% of adults have admitted to doing the same thing. And when it comes to relationship with your friends, a recent set of studies by Andrew K. Probilski and Netta Weinstein of the University of Essex show that our phones can hurt our relationships to our close friends. They also found out that it's possible that even just having a cell phone nearby could influence negative attention. So in conclusion, I do find that cell phones are a great tool. However, it is important not to forget that there are other ways we can communicate.
Oh, yeah. Jess, what did you think?
I like the intro. She really grabbed my attention to pay attention to it. It sounded really relaxed at first, but then like towards like the middle, like she sounded nervous. But overall, I liked it, and I like the visuals, and that's it.
It's always nice when your classmates are supportive of you, and it's good. I'm gonna disagree with her a little bit on the visual. I think you've got the one visual. It's interesting, and that's it. And it's not very dynamic. It doesn't add anything. You've got a whole bunch of statistics that you're presenting that are, at one point, it's like there are 5 of them in a row in this one piece set of information, and that's a lot of information to run together. That's a perfect place for a pie chart to compare, the adults to the teenagers and the way they use their cell phones, or the number who use it at the table, for instance, and the importance of meal times and those kinds of things. I mean, that's just as a natural place for that information to come together, and and visualize it in a way that it makes an argument. Now, so I think that you missed some opportunities there, and it requires you to put in a little bit more effort. I like the pictures that you had. They show those kinds of things. They illustrate the thing that you're talking about early on in the speech, but that's about as far as it goes. It's just the one image that we've got there. I like the introduction, too. I'd agree with Jess about that. I think that the introduction's nice. You engage us. You're active. It seems like it's energetic, and you're going to pull us in on this. And so I thought that worked really well. And I know what your topic is right away. Your thesis sounds almost like it's persuasive in nature, that you're going to convince us that there is this dark side to the cell phones, and that's okay. I mean, as long as you're telling us what it is, I think it's still kind of informative. But I didn't hear a preview of what the supporting structure was going to be. Once you started presenting the numbers, it just felt like there are more numbers. It's a long set of numbers, and it may have been grouped in some way in your head or in your outline, but I didn't think it was very clearly presented, and so it doesn't get into the audience the same way. That doesn't mean that there's not information there, but it's not something that's detectable. I do think that you do a very nice job speaking to the audience. So you've got a nice advantage here that you want to take as much power with as you can. You are relaxed. You are engaged. You've got energy. You don't appear to be one of those people that's anxious about being in front of a group. I'm sure you're nervous to some degree, but it doesn't indicate itself in any particular way. So you've got a big advantage over a lot of other people who are more self-conscious about being in front of the audience. Now, what you need to do is take advantage of that ability that you have and utilize it a little bit more and have more control over the contents of the speech. And I think that you've got a good opportunity here to do a lot of things as a speaker that'll make you more successful if you can just do that basic mechanical stuff a little bit more in the body of the speech. I did like the research that you had. The first part, there's a whole bunch of information, statistical information, that I didn't get as clear a source citation on. In the later parts, there were a couple of spots where you did give us a citation. I appreciated that, especially the last one on that last section. All right, thank you.